that feeling podcast. This is the Wrestling with My Thoughts podcast, hosted by Blak Makk.
Welcome everybody to Wrestling with My Thoughts podcast. This is your boy Blak Makk, and today I'm going to introduce you to my newest co-host. Please introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Frank Dee. I've done podcasts for Gerwick.net, GERWECK.net. We've interviewed countless people in the professional wrestling business: Booker T, Eric Bischoff, Matt Hardy, tons and tons of names. So that's my thing. But I'm here with my buddy, the Blak Makk, and tonight we're going to be talking about AEW Wrestling. Dynamite made their debut on TNT.
Yep, and listen, monumental night in the wrestling business. If you're not a fan of professional wrestling, you should seriously consider being a fan of professional wrestling starting tonight. Tonight did not disappoint me in a lot of ways. What about you?
I think that it was, it has room to grow. This is the first time that WWE has had any type of national, competition. Correct. Since the demise of the WCW. So it was very interesting for the fact that for the first time since March 26, 2001, we got to hear Tony Schiavone back on TNT.
I was going to ask you about that because I felt like that was a really cool moment. Just actually hearing his voice as the show was coming on. That was a really cool moment.
But we can't stop there because we also had the legendary JR, Jim Ross, good old JR, from the WWE, WCW, the Mid-South.
Right.
Right back in the booth here with Excalibur. These guys, I thought the trio did pretty good tonight. A lot of people like to pick on Excalibur and say Excalibur is not on the level. But I think that tonight, he hung in there with JR and Tony Schiavone.
I think he did. I think he held his own. He actually sounded pretty good. Normally, I guess going back to the pay-per-views they've done already, I really didn't pay too much attention to Excalibur. I was more so focused on Jim Ross, but the addition of Tony Schiavone tonight actually made that trio pop a little better because there was a lot more banter between the three of them.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a really good move to put Tony Schiavone in the broadcast booth and have him calling those matches, and it really provided for a lot of nostalgia, especially if you're a hardcore wrestling fan. It's like the Attitude Era meets the Nitro Era from '96, and you have those. It's like a what if, but it's in real life, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, it's just very interesting dynamic because, like you just said, there's a Nitro Era meets the Attitude Era,
right?
And those two, competitive forces that were against each other at one point with the WWE versus the WCW, Nitro versus Raw,
correct?
And then pushing WWE to really change themselves in the mid '90s and really develop this attitude that would basically let them win the war. But tonight, Blak Makk, we got the new war, Wednesday war. It's NXT versus AEW. And I have to admit, my friend, I did not watch NXT. There's nothing that's going to make me gravitate towards watching the NXT brand, especially since NXT will be available, the next day on demand on the WWE Network for just $9.99.
Right.
30-day free trial. But, nonetheless, AEW, TNT, I'm there.
Right. So interesting you bring that up. So AEW debuting tonight. NXT debuted on USA about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So they had a 2-week head start, and the product isn't bad. It really isn't a bad product, but you knew this night was coming. You knew that the competition for WWE was coming. So like you, I did not pay attention to NXT tonight. My focus was solely on AEW because I wanted to see the product, what they brought to the table, and I at least owed them that as a wrestling fan. What about you?
I'm invested with AEW, but like I said before, there is room for growth here as far as the overall presentation. I think that the television production is good. You're not going to beat the WWE when it comes to TV production. That is a machine. That is the 800-pound gorilla inside the cage. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat that. The thing that's going to really set AEW apart from WWE is the way that they tell stories.
Right.
That's where we're going to be going moving forward is the storytelling. I think the thing, honestly, that kind of hurts AEW, and I saw that a little bit tonight, is that they are lacking depth in the roster as far as big names. WWE has all the big names. WWE has basically, they have gone out and scoured and just pulled every single top talent from the independent scene, and they have them under the WWE umbrella, and that right there, I think, hurts AEW. AEW only has a couple of big name acts, and I think that's going to hurt them. Also, I think kind of hurts them going into tonight is that if you're not following AEW programming as far as their pay-per-views, then you don't really know what the hell is going on.
Right.
That's, in my opinion, that hurts them as well. It kind of reminds me, as we were talking earlier when we were watching the show, it kind of reminds me of years ago when TNA went dark and didn't have a TV partner. And I believe they went dark off of FSN.
Correct.
And they were looking for a partner, then they came on Spike TV. But for those few weeks that they were off TV, they actually were on YouTube and they were doing things on their website. So AEW had this Road to Dynamite show or something like that on TNT, which basically kind of introduced you to some of the wrestlers and what you're going to be seeing moving forward.
You're talking about the YouTube series?
No, actually, this is actually on TNT.
Oh, really?
On TNT, yeah.
What the hell? I missed that.
Right, probably. But it was something to basically introduce those out there to what you will be seeing on the TV show. So I think that's, but nonetheless, they got a lot of room to grow.
I think they do, but not a bad first step. Really not a bad first step. And if you're introducing yourselves to a new audience of people, there's some little tweaks there. But this was a very good first impression in my eyes. It really was. If you're going to introduce yourselves to a new audience and you want people to watch your show, this was not a bad first step. And immediately, and I'm not going to say immediately, but there's a major difference right off the bat to me, because let's just talk show flow for a second, right? If you watch the WWE product, it's a 3-hour show. There's a lot of content to get to. There's a lot of story building that they do, or more so now than they did before. There's a lot of storytelling in a 3-hour show. We sat through this show 2 hours, and by an hour and 35 minutes, they were going into the main event, and I was like, holy shit, this went by fast.
Right.
This went by really fast. It didn't feel like, I guess it's because I was actually invested in the show. And I don't know, but that was a major difference to me right off the bat coming out of this show, how fast it actually went by.
Yeah, the thing about it is, that, like you mentioned there, it didn't drag on. That's the difference. I cannot tell you the last time I've actually sat down and watched any WWE content. I can't watch it. I will watch bits and pieces on the YouTube channel. That's it. I cannot sit through an entire episode of Raw. I cannot sit through an entire episode of SmackDown. They can bring out anybody they want to on Friday night on Fox. They can bring out the NWO.
And it's going to drag.
And it's going to drag.
It's going to drag.
It doesn't really matter at this point. AEW, it went by quick.
Yeah, it did. It went by so fast that I was almost disappointed that it went by that fast.
Right.
Like, you almost, and not to throw this out there because I don't want them to have a third hour, but the amount of storytelling with the amount of wrestling made that show go by fast. And I was actually, it was actually kind of refreshing to come out of it and be like, holy shit. And this was awesome. Oh, this is awesome.
Right.
Oh, they're doing this spot. And there were a lot of spots in a 2-hour show that just made you say, holy shit, this is awesome. And then, it's over. Like, wow. That was, wow. And I'm pretty sure the buzz coming out of tonight it's going to be awesome. I can't wait till tomorrow to see what this actually looks like and feels like.
Right, and I mean, to me, honestly, all the stuff that's happening right now. Let's not get it twisted here, because a lot of people will listen to this show and they'll be like, WWE is making all these moves because it's just the right thing to do. No,
right.
WWE is making all these moves because they actually have competition.
Right. You haven't seen this.
You haven't seen this competition, exactly. They brought back pyrotechnics because of competition.
Yes.
They moved NXT to Wednesday to counter because of competition.
Right.
That's exactly what this is all about.
Right.
So, fast forward in that, they have things they need to work on. First thing they need to work on, they need a new set.
Yes.
You cannot have the same stage. Okay, if we rip on WWE for the same thing, why are we not taking AEW?
Need to hold them accountable. I get
exactly.
that.
So why are we not saying that? That I don't know what this fascination is with that chandelier looking thing in the middle. I don't understand that, dude.
I never got it. I never got it when they
Right.
first brought it out, but I don't know. At this point, that part of the set really isn't that big of a deal. It's just the fact that it's sort of the same set, and you could tell that it's a cost cutting set.
Well, yeah, it's basically like, I mean, hate to say it like this, but it's kind of like WCW 2001-ish when they were cutting costs on every fucking thing. So they need to fix that. I like the ring. The ring is very WCW-esque.
Yes.
I like that. I like the overall presentation of what they're attempting to do.
Right.
But
it's just the stage. It's not the whole. It's not the whole set. It's the stage.
It's the stage, just changed up a little bit. Because right now you got this TNA, 2005 in the Impact Zone meets the chandelier. You know what I'm saying? Meets the screens on the side, and I'm like, what the hell are y'all doing?
Yeah, what are you?
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah, what are you trying to do?
Make it basically simple.
But part of that stage set I like too. Because New Japan does the same.
Yeah, but this ain't New Japan,
right? Exactly. But they have the faces, the good guys come out of one side, the heels come out of the other side. I like that.
It's very Bill Watts,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Bill Watts, circa 1992, WCW Bill Watts.
Okay.
Something that we all want to forget.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I think in this, year 2019, I don't think we need separate entrances, separate stages. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of that.
I think it's just like, I think they're trying to keep with kayfabe, but in 2019 there is no kayfabe.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely dead.
That's what I think they're trying to do. But it's a little minor nitpick.
Yeah, it's being nitpicky.
Right.
I actually like it.
Okay.
So, I don't know. But the overall, I mean, if you could do that but make it modern, I'd be perfectly okay with it.
Right.
I don't like WWE's new set. I'll just let that be known.
It looks like some Tony Hawk Pro Skater shit. Seriously.
I'm not a fan.
It looks like a half pack. I mean, the only thing that I say that I like is I like everything behind it. I like the background. I like the screens. Everything they have behind the set.
Right.
But I'm not digging the half pipe ramp shit.
No.
I don't like that.
I'm not a fan of it. I am not entertained by it.
Oh, you're not sports entertained?
No.
Right.
By any means.
Right.
So let's go back to the show for a second.
Right.
So first match, Cody versus Sammy Guevara. Mm-hmm. What did you think about it?
I think it was actually pretty slow, to be honest with you.
Really?
I remember back in the day when we started with wrestling on TNT, the very first Monday Nitro, the Mall of America, Minneapolis, Minnesota. We started with
shout out to Bloomington,
Jushin Thunder Liger versus Flying Brian Pillman.
You know what? They actually brought that match up.
Right.
In the show.
Yeah, I was listening to the commentary,
and
Tony Schiavone started talking about that. I'm like, oh, I know exactly what he's going to say. So it's all about being a student of the game. You know.
Yeah, you know these things.
So I think this match here, it actually left a lot to be desired. You know what I'm saying? It just, I wasn't feeling it. It made sense at the end,
Right.
The post.
Right.
What I liked about it was a post match situation where Tony Schiavone gets in the ring and Cody is hugging him and all that. That was a cool moment, because Tony's back,
Right.
And then Sammy Guevara gives, that handshake to Cody. I like that part because it all leads up to what we saw in the main event.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it gives Sammy Guevara some character.
They
They
foreshadowed.
Exactly.
Which is good.
Right. So, I mean, it, like I said, left a lot to be desired. It is what it is.
You know what? I'm gonna counter that. I thought it was a great opening to it because just being a student of the game, the first match is always the most important match.
Right.
It sets the tone for the show. Now, if you want to set a tone for the company, you have the boss come out. And I thought that was awesome. Mm-hmm. You have the boss come out first. He's the first thing you see. And I thought just from that perspective, it was a great introduction. He comes out. He sets the tone. He's the first thing you see on his show, on the new network, new company. Let's do this. And the match itself, there were some spots in there. It did run kind of slow, but overall, I thought it was still a great match. And then afterwards, you nailed that one. The aftermatch, the way they foreshadowed the evening going was perfect.
Right.
It was perfect. So, second match, MJF versus Brandon Cutler.
Once again, MJF, that dude right there.
This motherfucker's gonna be. He's gonna be a star.
Oh, absolutely. And just I watched him in MLW, and I was very excited when I found out he signed with AEW just to bring him on a national level and show people what he can do.
Right.
The motherfucker is only 23.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's already got this type of heat, and he doesn't break.
Generator.
He reminds me of The Miz.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because imagine these two going back and forth. That that would be crazy. So,
I like his quick wit though.
Right.
He is very quick witted.
Oh yeah, I remember back at the what was it, Double or Nothing?
Yeah.
When Brett was in the ring.
Yeah.
And Brett said he told Brett, "Oh, look behind you."
Yeah.
So
the fan incident.
Right. So I thought that was pretty funny. I mean, Brett got a kick out of that.
Yeah.
So it's just those things. But the match itself, once again, man, it's just something that was a lot to be desired. It is what it is. It was basically we're seeing squash matches. It's
Right.
pretty much what we got
Right.
here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, Brandon Cutler.
Now, and to Cutler's credit, no one knows who the fuck he is.
That's what I was going to say. Who is Brandon Cutler?
Right.
Where did he come from?
No one knows.
Oh, he wrestled with the Young Bucks.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, what else?
Right.
No one knows who he was. JR actually tried to sell him during the match as well. Like, this kid has a great story. His backstory is awesome. He gave up on wrestling, and he's making his second return. He actually tried to build him up. Now, the care factor, that remains to be seen. But
when you got MJF out there, the heat magnet that he is, no one's gonna give a shit about Brandon Cutler.
Right.
Nobody gives a shit about his story. It's all it's gonna be is just MJF and the heat that he's attracting. So, like I said, man, it was a match once again that I think it left a lot to be desired. But that's just me. That's the way I see things.
Right. Now the match ended kind of awkward.
Yes. The tweaked, the
tweaked knee.
The tweaked knee.
That was a kind of an awkward ending.
Right. Yeah.
Makes you wonder if he actually is hurt.
Right.
Was he selling that, or did he actually get hurt?
Right.
But yeah, I agree. Overall, there was a lot more to be desired from that match. Now, one person we didn't see tonight that I want to see in a program with MJF is Shawn Spears. I think that would be an awesome feud.
Right. No, I agree with you. I know Shawn Spears had the situation going on with Cody, but I'm assuming that feud is over and done with, which is something that they actually should have brought to television.
Right.
But we'll see what happens. I mean, they're
doing the whole Cody Cody Jericho angle.
Which I think is, it's a little too soon for that.
You think so?
I think it is. I think they're kind of blowing their wad a little bit here.
You know what? And I don't want to force this on AEW, and because and this is an expectation thing. We haven't seen what they have planned, really. So I don't want to force that on them, but I would hope that they build a feud out of Jericho. Excuse me, Jericho and Cody, and on the back end you have MJF, who was with Cody in the last pay-per-view, going up against Shawn Spears. You can kind of build off of that feud. I don't want to force that out and say that's what they should do, but
I mean, to me, the money angle is going to be the eventual MJF versus Cody feud.
Right.
That's going to be the money.
And you kind of see them kind of building towards that. Mm-hmm. They keep dropping little hints here and there, like MJF's "that's my best friend," and
you can't do that because technically MJF is the biggest heel in the company, and Cody is a babyface or a tweener.
So, question: do you think they're trying to blur the lines a little bit because he is a heel, or when he's associated with Cody, is he an anti-hero?
I just say he's no. They're definitely trying to break the fourth wall, pretty much.
Right.
I think that when he's out there with Cody, that's my boy, whatever. But I still don't like any of you motherfuckers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of the way it goes. I still don't like none of you. So I can be my boy, come out here. He gets hit with a steel chair, and he's gushing. Yeah. I'm gonna go out and defend him, but I still don't like anybody.
Yeah, I don't like anybody.
So that's kind of where we got it. It kind of reminds me of the whole, the NWO dynamic,
right.
Which made the NWO so unique is that they would attack not only the babyfaces but the heels,
right?
And they were heels,
right?
You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of the same thing with MJF. MJF is a heel, but he'll go after the heel Shawn Spears in order to protect his buddy. You know what I'm saying? So. Who's a babyface?
Right. Does that work?
I think it works for the short term if you want to tell the story.
Right.
I mean, we got to see Cody get his ass whooped real good and then have MJF make the save, and then MJF is the motherfucker that set it up. That's what we got.
There you go.
That's how you build and make a star.
There you go. I think that would work, and hopefully we get to that point.
Right.
If not, I think there's still a lot of ways you can go, and we're just working off of one show,
right?
So there's a lot of ways you can go from this. But hey, Hangman Page versus Pop.
Okay, so Hangman Page, I liked his look. Been watching Hangman Page for a while when he was part of the BC Bullet Club.
Yep.
They're really investing a lot in Hangman Page, making him the next big superstar. I think that it's going to take some time for people to get with it, you know what I'm saying, especially with the current gimmick. Some people might like it, some people might not. I liked his attire tonight. Reminded me of 89, 88 Barry Windham, Four Horsemen, or the Widowmaker in the WWF. Yeah. That's kind of what it reminded me of.
You're definitely
right. Overall, I thought it was a good match. Pac looked, excellent out there working. I think these two have really good chemistry. And just some of the stuff that Heyman Page should do for a bigger guy, I can see him doing big things in the future at AEW. I definitely can see him eventually one day being the world champion, but it's going to be a slow building process.
Right. You have to get the crowd behind him.
You got to get the crowd behind him. I think that Heyman Page has the crowd behind him somewhat, but he really needs to do something to establish that and put it really over the top.
I agree. And I thought coming out of All Out that was the last pay-per-view, right? All Out? Mm. Yeah, I thought coming out of All Out, his stock would have risen high. Like, they would have featured him more prominently. Because that match he had with Jericho was amazing. That was an amazing match. And I think for me, I would have liked to see him versus Jericho feud just a little bit longer. But, plans are plans, and whatever they have planned is going to be. So,
right.
But yeah, I agree. One day he's going to be a star. There's a couple guys in AEW that will be the future of that company.
Yeah, it's just going to take time.
Right.
It's all about timing, and it's just something that's got to be organic. It's got to be the audience has to move, go towards you and really accept you. And right now, I think they're kind of with Hangman Page.
Right.
Because I think they're kind of
Well, and that's with a lot of people in AEW because the general public doesn't know about them.
Right.
Really, there's a lot of people in AEW that only the hardcore fan. That if you really follow pro wrestling, you will know who some of these people are.
Right.
The general public has no clue who most of these guys are.
Right.
So, and that's the challenge for them to make these guys household names. And I think they will. If tonight is any evidence, a lot of these guys will be household names.
Oh, yeah. It's just like I said, man, it's just going to take time.
Right. It will. It definitely will. So, Pac versus Hangman Page, good match. Rio versus Nyla Rose.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
Here we go.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And
so before we go into that, you did not know that Nyla Rose was transgender. I knew this.
I knew that they had signed a transgender talent. I did not know it was Nyla Rose.
Right.
Mind you, I saw Nyla Rose the first time, I believe it was at Double or Nothing.
Right.
When she was in that Battle Royal.
Right.
So I did not know that was a transgender. Now, in saying that, I thought it was a pretty good match. It could be better. They have really got to kind of fix their women's division a little bit. It's kind of tacky a little bit. They got this monster over here. I get the story they're trying to tell. It's basically a David versus Goliath type of story. You got this monster heel over here, and you got this little adorable
tiny
exactly.
Face, yeah.
So I get what they're trying to say, what they're trying to do here, but in the future, we need to see more competitive matches. We need to be on the level of what they're doing over at WWE. If you want to have a women's division that's going to be better and superior to them. I remember at one point back in the day, we had the Knockouts division in TNA,
right,
which was a hell of a lot better than the Divas that the WWE were producing. The WWE all of a sudden now is very serious.
The Knockouts back then would probably compete with the women today.
Oh yeah, you had the beautiful people.
Right.
You had Gail Kim.
Gail Kim is probably the
Tara.
best woman's wrestler ever.
You have Awesome Kong.
Yep.
All these different cats.
Well, Awesome Kong is in AEW too.
Right, and they need to really start, pushing. I saw when I saw Double or Nothing. I mean, she's not the same as she was.
No.
And, that back injury, I think, really kind of, fucked her up. But nonetheless, they can still change some things around. Let's get this women's division on par with what the competition is doing.
They have the women to do it.
I think they
definitely have the women.
I think they do. I think Britt Baker.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not too fond of the doctor gimmick.
Well, she's an actual doctor.
Oh, I get that. I get that. But I mean, okay, she's a dentist. I get that.
Right.
But dentists in wrestling don't work. Ask Isaac Yankem.
I get that, and I think they tried to sell it as like, oh, she's wrestling and she's doing her dentistry, she's following her dreams while still maintaining a job. They tried to sell it like that before then. They haven't really mentioned it so much since, but that was the angle they were trying to take. Like,
right,
she's an ordinary woman, but she's following her dreams of being a pro wrestler,
right,
type of thing. But the other women because that 6-woman tag team match they had, was that Double or Nothing?
Yes,
that was fucking amazing.
Well, it was amazing because you used the Japanese style.
Right, the Japanese style.
Yeah,
but you have Rio, who's a Japanese lady, now is a champion.
Right.
Okay, let's bring the other women out. You could go a lot of ways with them because hell, she could take strong style. She's acrobatic. You seen her tonight with Nyla Rose. I mean, the lady's versatile, and she's only 22 fucking years old.
That's the thing. We were talking about that earlier.
Right.
Is that, you got MJF, who's 23. You got Rio, who is 22. So they definitely have the youth advantage on their side.
Right.
Meanwhile, you have the WWE guys who, a lot of them are in their, mid to late 30s. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, people talk all this shit back in the day about, like, Hogan and all these guys, and and all these cats, but they don't realize these guys were only in their early 40s when they were in the WCW. They look, because like, oh well, Hogan was bald and Macho Man had the bald spot. Like you think they were old,
right?
They were in their they're the same age as like fucking AJ Styles is now. You know what I'm saying? And Triple H and all these different motherfuckers, like,
running the company.
You know what I'm saying? So. What I don't understand the dynamic, and I've heard Conrad Thompson talk about that several times on the Eric Bischoff podcast or Tony Schiavone podcast, where he's mentioned these different things. But one thing I will say that I like about the women of AEW is that they actually have a character.
Right.
Nyla Rose actually has a character. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing they do have over WWE, and everybody in WWE is just cookie cutter.
Right.
And this is not be like, oh. But this program is basically, this podcast is just all pro AEW. No, it's not all pro AEW, because if AEW does anything, I'm gonna shit on it too.
Oh yeah,
that's just the way it goes. You know what I'm saying? We're simply pointing out the positives.
Is definitely not pro AEW.
Oh, absolutely not. Unless they want to put us on the payroll, then it'd be pro AEW.
Right.
I'll listen. I'll kiss your ass all day for the money. That's it.
Hey, if you give him money, I'll take it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will take it.
All right.
But yeah, so out of that, I mean, and this is just halfway through the card. So actually, that wasn't even halfway through the card. So Rio versus Nyla Rose was the co-main event.
Right.
And this is what I'm talking about. The main event is the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Santana and Ortiz and Chris Jericho.
Right.
This is the main event. And by then, this is at the point when they say we're at the main event. I'm like, holy shit, already?
Right.
This has gone by way too fast.
Because it's just basically, it was all wrestling. There is no backstage segments.
Right.
That's taking up TV time.
They had one, the Jay and Silent Bob promo.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Because we felt the same way.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I thought it was garbage.
It was awkward.
It was whack. It was awkward. It sucked. I mean, some of the people,
everybody was like,
yeah, exactly. But some guy I saw in the crowd was like, who?
Yeah, he was right behind him, like,
right.
Who? I'm too young for this shit.
Right.
And then, it was awkward. It was really awkward. It was like, okay.
It's like some WWE shit. Like, WWE would do something like that. We're going to get these, B-list, C-list celebs to be at our show in the front row and try to get some, some stank off of them or whatever. And it's just, it was garbage. I did not like that. They need to steer clear of things like this. You know what I'm saying? And unless you got a major A-list celebrity coming out there,
right,
then you don't need to even resort to this.
Right.
Because you try this, and then, you got Jay and Silent Bob, and then you're going to turn around Friday on SmackDown, and they got the fucking Rock.
Blowing you out of the water.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. They're blowing, and they're in L.A.
Right.
They're going to blow you out of the water.
And there's no telling else who is going to be at Staples Center on Friday.
Oh, I know that. If they've watched tonight, then they're pulling out all the stops.
Right.
You've already seen what they did on Monday before tonight. They already were pulling out all the stops. They had Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair in the ring together on Monday.
Which you would think, these two old fuckers. No, the people were down with it.
Yeah,
they were popping big time.
Right.
When Hogan got up in Flair's face and they thought they were about to go at it.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
They still care.
Exactly.
They still care.
Exactly.
So just imagine what they're going to do on Friday.
Right.
Now that the company that is AEW has shown their hand, they've came out. They've had actually, by all accounts, this was a successful night. This was a great night for them. You didn't have any. Honestly, there weren't a lot of dry spots in tonight's match. Well, actually, let's go back to the main event. So the main event, you see, in the middle of the match, Jon Moxley come out and attack Kenny Omega in the middle of the match. So they're in the middle of a spot. You see Jon Moxley roll in the ring. Camera pans right behind him. Right behind, was it Nick Jackson, I believe? No, it was Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega, yeah.
Yeah, because he was in the ring. And it panned right behind Kenny Omega. There's Jon Moxley beating the shit out of him. Beat the shit out of him all the way to the VIP area. Well, they fought all the way to the VIP area.
Right.
Get to the VIP area, and something that neither of us has seen on TV actually happened. He hits the dirty deeds through a glass table.
Right, a glass coffee table.
Right.
Yes.
Through a glass table.
Right.
That's, as far as I know, that's never happened.
I have never seen anybody go through a glass table.
Anything glass.
Like I've seen people go through glass windows, sugar glass windows, and all that type of stuff that they do. I've never seen anybody go through a glass coffee table. It may have happened in ECW or something like that, but has it ever happened on
live?
Like I've never seen it, and I might be wrong. Because I've watched a lot of wrestling. I've watched the WCW, the ECW, WWF, TNA, MLW, all this different type of shit. So it may have happened. I'm just saying that it was something I've never seen before because I popped big time when it happened.
Yeah. Both of us were like, oh, shit.
Right.
He actually went through the coffee table.
Right.
Oh, shit. And then that was the end of it.
Right.
So they pan back to the ring, and then there's still a great match going on.
Right.
And I think I said this when it actually happened. Like, they're not going to ring the bell. There's no DQ. Right. They didn't even set the rule for this. It's like, no, you're just in a handicap match. And I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, okay, that's different.
Right.
They're not going to end the match right then and there. You still have to fight. Okay, cool. Now let's see what they got. So, at the end of the match, Bucks went. No, the Bucks lose, right?
No, Bucks lost.
Yeah, they lost. The Judas effect.
Right.
Jericho hit the Judas effect.
Right.
Pin 1, 2, 3. Out comes Jack Hager. Well, a fight breaks out. Sammy Guevara comes out, legit dick kicks Cody Rhodes.
We saw a lot of dick kicks.
Yeah, it was a lot of dick kicks.
Like really good dick kicks.
Yeah. So, legit dick kick Cody Rhodes, who comes out and fights Chris Jericho. Dustin Rhodes comes out, tries to clear the ring, unsuccessful because you have the debuting Jack Hager,
the former Jack Swagger from WWE.
Jack Swagger.
People going crazy.
They went apeshit.
Popped the crowd. People chanting,
"We the people."
And it's like, dude, you just totally missed the ball right there. He should have held his hand over his chest.
I was waiting on it.
You know what I'm saying? He should have held his hand over
his
heart. I'd have
been like, even if it's a copyright, you don't even have to say anything.
No.
Just put your hand on your heart.
Exactly.
Is
WWE they have that copyright? Yeah. If I say the pledge, I'm going to hold my hand over my heart.
Yep.
So same thing. He should have done that.
Just put your hand over your heart.
Exactly.
The crowd will handle that for you. I totally agree.
Yep.
That was a missed opportunity.
Right.
And because they were big time popping for him.
Right. But in reality, he's a heel.
Right.
So he's coming in as a heel. But I liked the dynamic here of this little faction maybe that they got going on here with Guevara, Santana, Ortiz, Jericho, and Jack Hager. It looks like Jack Hager is going to be the muscle for Chris Jericho moving forward.
Right.
It's going to be his personal enforcer, which I like that.
I like that too. I actually like that he debuted. So
right.
That was a really good debut and a really good ending to a really good first step for them.
Right.
Overall, tonight was a really good first step to them. Now, coming out of that, the aftermath, what are your thoughts on what you think the aftermath is going to be?
Well, it's hard to say right now because we're moving towards full year coming up in Baltimore and on pay-per-view and probably going to be on the Bleacher Report and on the Fight app. That's the next step. We're finally going to get that Omega versus Moxley match. They got this blood feud going on, so that's going to be. I'm looking forward to that. Jericho versus Cody. Honestly, I'm not expecting a title change. I think they're going to keep the belt on.
You think you're going to keep it on?
Yeah, I think we're going to see some interference here from Jack Hager. I think right now the tag division in AEW is fucking lit. You got Santana, Ortiz, you got Lucha Bros, you got SCU, you got fucking what's those private party. So you got them out there. You got a lot of different cats out there.
Best friends is exactly. Dark Order.
Yep, Dark Order. You got a lot of different cats.
I like Dark Order.
Yeah,
I like them a lot. Actually,
a lot of different cats right now out there for the tag division. So it's about to heat up, man. It really is.
I will say this: the AEW tag division is probably the best tag division out right now.
Oh yeah,
because they get after it. And if you haven't seen the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, you're missing out.
And that's kind of where, honestly, where we kind of missed a segment here. Earlier on in the show, we actually had a segment with the Lucha Brothers and SCU.
Right.
And
SCU
was talking about how they're going to have, they were going to have Kazarian and Daniel as the more experienced of the trio here of SCU go up against to defend in the tag tournament here with the. They did the Lucha Bros come out,
right?
And they did that whole little thing, and they have a beat down. And the whole thing is funny because Tony Schiavone's just sitting there watching the whole damn thing. So that part was cool. So I'm looking forward to it, man. I really like the dynamic here of everything they're doing here with the tag division. It's really cool. They just need some more names, and I'm telling you right now, and I've told you this a couple of times. The thing I think they're missing, man, is they're missing a missing ingredient here, and that is they need to have the Bullet Club. They need New Japan on that show.
I agree. I definitely agree because I think that dynamic mixed with mixed with what they have now will be awesome.
Here's the thing. A lot of people out there who listen to this, you're a wrestling fan. You can either agree or disagree. I just think that when it comes down to it, the Elite were only over because of the Bullet Club, and how popular the Bullet Club was. That's just my opinion. Hey, I'm all for them going out there and getting their own company and starting their own deal and trying to, take it to the 800-pound gorilla. But hey, when you take it to the 800-pound gorilla, the 800-pound gorilla
you need all the guns you
need to get the big guns.
Yeah.
And right now, what's the biggest guns you can get? Okay, look, you know what? CM Punk, that dude's probably going to end up back in WWE.
You know what? He actually, speaking of CM Punk, he actually confirmed that he met with WWE for the talk show that they are going to be bringing out with Renee Young. He confirmed that he actually met with them.
Well, I just think what it comes down to, and I might be wrong about this, I just think that, Punk is, look, the wrestling business is kind of heating up a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
Punk wants some of that Fox money.
Oh,
it's what it is, right?
Yeah.
We don't know Punk's financial situation.
Money men's relationships.
Absolutely.
Obviously, because he's settled a
Look at all the motherfuckers that's in WWE right now. Even if he wants to come do the talk show, okay,
there's no way he's not
he is going to want to wrestle these guys.
There's no way.
They got AJ Styles in there.
Yeah.
You got all these different guys that you got major money matches in there.
There's no fucking way.
You got him, you got Joe in there. You got, like I said, Styles. You got fucking Rollins. All these different cats.
Yep. There's no fucking way he doesn't wrestle.
Right.
There's no way.
Right.
None.
A matter of fact, I even heard a rumor that he's daring The Rock to call him during SmackDown.
He actually tweeted that.
Right. And who knows? Rock might do it.
Well, Rock might actually be at SmackDown.
No, well,
he's actually going to be.
He's going to be on SmackDown. Exactly.
It's going to be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So is Punk not going to be on SmackDown?
I don't think he is, but
that shit just seems too fishy, man. He's going to be there.
We'll see.
I expect him to. I hope
if they do. If he does, listen. Punk is not stupid.
He's not.
He realizes that he's getting in the age where you're not going to have so many big paydays left in this business.
Right.
You've already done shit on AEW now, and now AEW doesn't even want to fuck with you now.
Right.
You buried them, you burned them, so now they have no energy.
Can you imagine if you'd have debuted tonight?
Yep.
You talking about changing the fucking business? That's the whole industry would have went apeshit had he debuted tonight.
Right.
The whole industry would have went fucking haywire if he'd debuted tonight.
But looking off the WWE and going back to the AEW radar here, I mean, like I said, man, AEW, you mentioned earlier about a working relationship. Okay, that's cool. But AEW needs, exclusive talent. You know what I'm saying? They need that. If you're going to be a true top number 2, you need exclusive talent. But it's no different than WCW back in the day when WCW had a working relationship with New Japan.
Right.
And they had a working relationship with AAA. And that's how they got the Luchadors. You know what I'm saying? So I can see that possibly happening. I would definitely like to see...
They have a working relationship with AAA now. That's how they got Sammy Guevara and the Lucha Brothers.
Right. But what I'm saying is I would love to see them work out something with, New Japan so we can get the Guerrillas of Destiny onto, the TNT network. You can get the Rainmaker on the TNT network. I don't think.
Well, I would say that TNT isn't ready for the Guerrillas of Destiny.
I don't know. I mean, I heard some shit tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I was gonna say, let me clarify that because they were dropping some shits on.
Right.
Even Jim Ross was like, the crowd's chanting shit.
Right.
Whoa.
Like we're doing this. Hey.
Whoa. Is this what we're doing with this rating tonight? Okay. All right. I mean, I dig it. How can I not like it? You say shit on national television, then hey, you can say shit.
Hey man, they were saying shit on Sons of Anarchy, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, put the kids to bed.
Exactly.
Drop a couple curse words.
Exactly. CV-14.
Hey, if it works, it works.
It works.
Even Shivani was like, well, he's getting his ass beat.
Hey, but if you listen to Shivani's podcast, that's Tony being
that's
bland.
toned down. Yeah, it's toned down. Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall great. And my thoughts on the aftermath, I think, I want to see what tomorrow brings because I know tonight was a great night. And listen, this week as a whole, this week as a whole for the wrestling industry as a whole is fucking amazing. You've never seen this much wrestling before.
No, it's definitely heating up. You have WWE, obviously, USA Network. You have WWE on Fox with SmackDown. You have WWE NXT on Wednesdays versus AEW Dynamite. You also have Impact Wrestling. Moving on to Access Television. You have New Japan and Women of Wrestling on Access TV as well. You have MLW out there doing their thing. The NWA is doing their thing now.
And they made a little bit of noise with their debut of their show Power.
Right.
So, again, this is the time you want to be a wrestling fan because there's so much of it. And I've said this before, but I don't think I've ever seen this much wrestling.
No, no, because back in the day, it was just simply, you had, WWF, and you had Jim Crockett Promotions, you had the Mid-South, you had the AWA, but at this juncture, with it's so much content out there, then you have think about this, you have not only the wrestling that we see on TV, you have the fucking streaming networks.
Right.
You have Impact, plus you have WWE Network, you have the Fight TV app.
Right.
You got all these different, it's just, right now, it's just so much wrestling content. Right. It's just fucking crazy right now.
The crazy part about it is none of it's the same.
No, everything is different.
Yeah, everything is a different
even
product.
if you look at the WWE's product, you look at Raw, it's different from NXT.
Yeah, Raw's not like NXT. NXT is not like SmackDown.
Right.
There's all types of different wrestling going on. And this shit, like, for real, when I was growing up, this is the shit that I wished I had. Like, growing up, you only had wrestling on Monday. Maybe once Thunder came out Thursday, and then SmackDown came out, and that was it. Mm-hmm. That's all you had. That's all you had to look forward to, really. Then now it's like, shit, I want to see what happens. Now you got this shit every single day. I used to pray for this shit.
Right. Well, I always prayed for a 24-hour wrestling network, and then here comes the WWE network.
Right. You used to want to watch wrestling all fucking day. Now you can.
Right.
You literally can.
Right.
Because there's so much of it, and it's a great time. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan.
I agree.
And it's a great time to talk wrestling too, because you don't have to focus on one company.
No, you can focus on many.
Right.
Just like tonight we focus on AEW. And we'll probably focus on AEW the next time.
Right. I like to compare. I do.
Right.
I do like to compare both of them.
Right.
But I think this was a breath of fresh air that was needed. WWE needs this shit.
They need something to light them in the ass.
Right. They need
something.
this shit.
Yeah.
Because if you notice, the product changed dramatically. I knew once they gave Heyman and Bischoff leeway, a little bit of leeway, because that's really all they need, the product was going to change. And it's showing itself.
Right.
And they needed it. Who better to give the reins to both of your shows than those two people?
Absolutely. And we'll see moving forward what Bischoff has in store for SmackDown.
Right. That was a power move.
Right.
That was a fucking power move.
Absolutely.
Vince is no idiot, man.
No.
He is no fucking idiot. At all. Everybody likes to say he's out of touch. And sometimes it's hard to argue against it, but when he makes moves like that, it's hard to argue that he's out of touch.
Right.
Who better, if I'm going to go to war, all right. He's like fucking Shang Tsung. It's like, I'm just going to, here's the people I beat to whoop your ass. Here you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's a guy that damn near killed me.
Yeah.
Bischoff.
Here, deal with this guy.
Right.
See if you survive him.
Right.
But one thing I did want to bring up, too, before we go, is the significance of WWE, not just the WWE versus AEW gimmick, right? Because if you look at a Wednesday Night War, okay, cool. But I brought this up earlier today, and it totally didn't hit me. So there was a picture this morning of Tommy Dreamer on the Busted Open podcast. He's wearing a Dusty shirt.
Right.
And immediately it hit me. Holy shit. NXT versus AEW is fucking Dusty's creation.
Right. Right, because I mean, he was an instrumental part in the development of
NXT,
of NXT and what the NXT brand was going to become.
Right.
Because it started off as the Deep South wrestling down there with what was it, Jody Hamilton.
Right.
So then it then evolved to Florida Championship Wrestling.
Right.
And then when Triple H took this sad concept of a reality TV show and then put it to the forefront of sports entertainment, we have it right now. And Dusty was a big part of that. Dusty was down there with the promo classes and everything. So, yeah, this is very interesting because now his son is leading the charge. Both his sons,
right,
with the Khan family are leading the charge against Vince McMahon and the WWE, and really the Khan family, they have more money than Vince.
Right,
they got more resources. Right. You know,
so it was a holy shit moment. Like, holy shit,
right?
This is really this motherfucker is impacting the wrestling business from the grave,
right?
Literally, right now,
right?
Like he's single. Really, you could say Dusty is the reason this shit is the way it is right now.
Right.
He changed the business. Literally.
Yeah.
I was like, that's fucking crazy. You want to talk about how good a motherfucker is? Look at tonight. You changed the business. Literally.
But it's just week number 1. Let's see what they Let's see what they got moving forward.
I, for one, am excited.
All right.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they have. And if the one thing I don't want to happen is you get into this pattern of expectation, because tonight was a high.
Right.
Now, can you build on that?
It wasn't a high for me though. It wasn't. I went into it basically just as a casual.
Okay.
Because I just wanted to see what they have to offer. You know, I wanted to see if they actually can live up to the hype. And that's the thing about it, is that people are hyping this shit. And sometimes things don't really stand up to the hype.
Right.
You know, and I think, like I said, AEW has room for growth. It's
right.
their first show. I'm not going to be too critical on them because it's their first show.
Right.
Okay. We'll see where we're at a month from now.
Right, and that's where I was saying I don't want the pattern of expectation to be super high. Right, based off tonight. Because even as a casual fan, if you see it, and this is your first time seeing it, you're like, holy shit.
Right.
These motherfuckers they're doing this is a fucking spot fest.
Right.
Like, Jesus Christ, this is crazy.
Right.
I've never seen anything like this. I want to come back next week, and the next week you expect what you got this week. I don't want that expectation to be there.
Right.
Like, give them room to grow.
Right.
Because if you come in based off tonight and you wanting that, what you got tonight, you may not get it every single week.
You're not going to get that every week.
Yeah,
it's like it got to the point where it's like, okay, the NWO will come out there and whoop everybody's ass, and you'd be like, oh shit, they're going to do that next week.
Right.
And most likely they would. But then it stopped and you're like, oh man.
And yeah, it gets to a point where it gets stagnant.
Exactly.
You don't want that.
Yep.
So, and that's where I would like to see them just build. Gradually build. Make yourselves better. Because there is room for improvement.
Right.
But overall, good first step.
Definitely.
Yep. Well, this is our recap for tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, you got any last words you want to say?
No, I just want to say it's been fun, man. Been fun, here with you doing this show, and look forward to the next one.
Oh, real quick before we go. Last podcast, I told the people I'll bring this up. So, because I kind of knew you were going to be my co-host from now on.
Okay.
So, I told the people last week that Sasha Banks is one of the greatest women's wrestlers ever.
You mean Sasha Botch?
Yes.
Right.
I told them you'd say that too. I said you called her Botcha Banks.
That's pretty much what it is. Every time she comes out, it's botch time. But I don't know. I'm kind of getting into a little bit of Sasha Banks a little bit.
Really?
I'm kind of getting into her again.
Oh wow!
Took some time.
You've changed.
Yeah, I have. It took some time because I'm digging her and I'm kind of digging Bailey a little bit. So, but we'll talk about WWE on the next one.
We'll talk about those characters later. But
right.
I really wanted tonight to be focused on AEW because they are a new company, and this was a monumental night in the wrestling industry.
Absolutely.
So, and I wanted to give them that light, and we'll come back next week with something awesome for everybody else.
Definitely.
All right, man. Well, this is our time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to Wrestling With My Thoughts. This is your boy, Blak Makk, and this is...
Frank Dee.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you. Good night.